Hey, everybody. Alan Cashman here of TheCashmanwins.com. We're going to do the Week 4 college football recap. We're going to recap the subscriber plays and see why we won, why we lost. We were 1-1 in subscriber plays this past Week 4 in college football. For subscribers on the main page, on the picks page, I told you about 3 games Saturday that I liked as personal plays. Now, the Northwestern plus 11.5, plus 12, they actually won outright. For whatever reason, that game was the one that really stuck out to me, but I just was not for sure could trust Northwestern against the run. On defense, we made a small personal play on that. Notre Dame plus 3.5. We had a little bit of a bigger personal play on that one. Nearly blew it, but my biggest concern in that game was that everybody liked Notre Dame, and that worried me a little bit. We did a little bit on that. And then the Memphis and Missouri game, we liked Memphis plus 7. Ended up pushing on that game and didn't send it out as a subscriber play. As I told you guys, I just thought Missouri looked a little too athletic. I wasn't for sure about the step up in class in Memphis there, but I do feel like I'm seeing things very well. So I'm hoping now the next several weeks, I'm hoping we're going to see 3 to 5 subscriber plays for college football going forward. Cashman University subscribers, you're actually going to get to see me go through the process of making the first college football picks list for Week 5 in a video that I'll send you on Monday. You'll get to see a little more in depth of the process, and then see the games that will make Cashy's notebook, which I will also release on Tuesday for subscribers as well. You'll get to see the list of games that I'm actually working on. But the Cashman University subscribers are actually going to see a little more in depth of the process and why I like these games, and see some of the stats and sites that I'm using to come to a conclusion on why I'm going to research 8 to 10 games a little deeper than I will the rest of them. Go over every game at least once, and then we try to find a list of games to watch tape on and spend most of our time on where we think we have an edge. So let's go to Week 4. 1-1, we had Buffalo minus 9. That did not win. It was one of the worst bad beats in recent memory. And then we had New Mexico State plus 3.5, which they did cover, but it was a stressful watch. Actually, go into that a little deeper here in a second. But let's go and let's take a look at the box score for the Buffalo at Louisiana game. We had Louisiana minus 9. And let's just take a look at what happened in this game. It really, in a lot of ways, a lot of what I told you I thought was going to happen did. Let's look at the team stats. Louisiana outgained them 518 to 373. Now, this here, the defensive, they did what I thought they were going to do on offense. I did not necessarily expect the Louisiana defense to give up this many yards. Even with this many yards, they still should have covered. What hurt them was turnovers, and we'll get into that in a second. But you see, teams combined for 11 touchdowns. I would not have guessed that Buffalo was going to get 5 touchdowns in that game. It was not definitely not what I saw in the numbers. It was a fluke. I don't think it would happen if you put 7 out of 10 times. Louisiana probably covers that spread, but they had some things going against them here, and this is what it was really. The 3 turnovers. They had 2 turnovers inside their own 20-yard line. They gave Buffalo a short field, and then they still had a chance to win it, and they gave up. Actually could not recover an onside kick late in the game. That really would have put it away if they could have recovered it, but they could not. And then Buffalo drives down for a touchdown. So they make the game a lot closer than what it really was, though Buffalo did put up a fight. Louisiana dominated them up front like I thought they would. You look at the quarterbacks here, the passing, 51.4% completions for Buffalo, 75.9% with Louisiana with their backup quarterback here. So it wasn't even their starter here, which I told you I thought they would be pretty good with their backup in, and they were. Yards per attempt, 8.6 for Louisiana, 5.6 for Buffalo. Yards per completion, though, a little bit closer here, 10.8 for Buffalo, 11.3 for Louisiana. Each had a couple of picks. Look at the passer rating here. Definitely a better rating for Louisiana, 83.8, just a 53.9 for Buffalo, who used a couple of different quarterbacks. But then you come down here, and what I said was Louisiana should dominate this team up front running the football. And you look right here, 269 yards rushing, 7.1 yards per carry, 4 rushing touchdowns. The problem is it looked like, I think Louisiana was up with 5 or 6 minutes left in the third quarter. They were up 31-7. I thought we were fine. I thought we were in good shape the way the game was going. And then backup quarterback did throw an interception from his own end zone. Buffalo intercepted around the 10-yard line, a very short field. Turned out to be a touchdown. This right here, I was not expecting the 4 touchdowns. And it kind of, like I said, I think Louisiana's defense maybe kind of thought they had the game won and let Buffalo back into the game because they had this game. They were dominating in most aspects of the game. And then that last 20 minutes of the game, they just kind of looked like they were sleeping a little bit or cruising and thought they had it. And Buffalo came back and gave them a scare. 3 sacks for Louisiana, 2 for Buffalo. But like I said, the main thing in this game right here was the turnovers, the 3 turnovers, 2 of them inside their own 20-yard line, and then the onside kick that Louisiana could not recover. Box score, you look at the stats, like I said, Zion Chris, 22 for 29 passing as a backup. Pretty good numbers, but those 2 interceptions hurt. Decent running game for Buffalo here. And then you see Louisiana, Caboti, 14.3 yards per carry, had a 69-yard run, 7 carries. Chris, the quarterback, he's dual threat. He looked good. He'll win some games if he has to play. But he made a couple of bad decisions. The end zone, he was trying, I believe the interception he threw, that was the second one, the one where I really kind of realized we were in a little bit of trouble. I think he was trying to throw the ball out of bounds and he didn't get it there, and the Buffalo guy intercepted it. And when I was actually watching, I was watching that. I had Notre Dame on the big screen. I was actually watching on my laptop, and I could not see. I thought the ball got out of bounds. I didn't realize he had intercepted it, and had it on mute, so I wasn't listening. And then I realized Buffalo had the ball. And I'm like, how'd that happen? And then go back and look and realize that he quarterback threw an interception. So I think we win this game 7 out of 10 times. It was a really bad beat. It's one of the worst. It's worse. One of the worst beats in recent memory. They were cruising. Louisiana should have had it, and then they kind of take the foot off the pedal there and let Buffalo back into it. Buffalo did not give up, and give them credit, but Louisiana should have covered this spread, and they did not. And let's go back to the second game. Now this was a tough one to watch because it wasn't on TV. It was on. Started at midnight. New Mexico State had Hawaii. The game was actually I sat and watched for 3 hours ESPN's Gamecast, where they go through and type in each play and tell you you're reading what's actually happened. Did that for 3 hours. Stayed and watched that, and Hawaii drove all the way down the final play and ended up kicking up. They were inside their own 10. I mean, get close to where they could get a touchdown, and ended up kicking a field goal to make it 20-17, which saved our butts on that one. And I'm a little bit surprised that New Mexico State did not get more points than what they did. I was looking at their over 27.5 for the game, but they just didn't get there. They had a pretty good offensive game, a pretty even in offensive yards. The difference really in this one was the passing game for Hawaii in this one. They held onto the ball a little bit. You look right here, 26 for 37, completed over 70% of their passes for 245 yards, 6.6 yards per carry, per attempt, 9.4 yards per completion. Look over here at New Mexico State, 60%, 155 yards, 10.3 yards per attempt, 17.2 yards per completions, but only 9 for 15. So they did not come in looking to throw the ball. They've got a dual threat quarterback, Pavia, I believe his name is, and he's a very good runner. And he ran the ball a lot in this game. That's what I told you. I thought this was going to be a running game. This is a situation where I thought New Mexico State would dominate in the running game, and they kind of did. 32 carries, 180 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, while Hawaii only 3.3 yards per carry. But whatever reason, couldn't get it in the end zone. On defense here, each had a fumble recovery. The sacks, 3 sacks on defense from New Mexico State, only 1 for Hawaii. And the box score over here, you look at Pavia here, 9 for 15, like we said, 2 touchdowns, 134.7 rating. Shager for Hawaii, 26 for 38, completed 70% of his passes, 6.4 yards per attempt. That's not much, but they were efficient. 1 touchdown. New Mexico State running the game. Pavia almost had the quarterback had nearly 100 yards rushing, which I'm not surprised there. He's dual threat. He's good at that. Very athletic, fast. 8.1 yards per carry. And then Starr Thomas and Watkins, these two guys were their leading runners for the team. But Thomas did not have a great game, and Watkins only touched the ball twice as far as a running back. He had a receiving touchdown, and I believe we had that on listed as a prop bet for him to score a touchdown. I don't think I've graded that one yet. I need to go and do that tonight. And then you look at over here for Hawaii, they really didn't. 14 carries between 2 guys that did well, but they were not really pounding the ball. They were throwing the football. And then the connection here, Ashlock to Shager to Ashlock here, 7 catches, 77 yards, and then a couple of little throws here to Jalen Walthall. But it was not, like I said, I really expected New Mexico State to dominate because of the run game, and they did in the run game, but it didn't translate into points for whatever reason. And it's hard to tell because, like I said, I couldn't watch the game. I'm watching the game cast on ESPN, and them type in and tell you play by play what's happening. So I'm going to try to find, hopefully on YouTube, be able to find the games. Maybe someone has or release some kind of film of the game so I can actually watch it and see. Really, when you're watching the tape, you're watching, number one, you're watching line play. You're wanting to see offensive line versus defensive line. That'll usually dictate who controls the game on each side of the ball. So hopefully I'll get a chance to see that. And let's take a look at this. It was not a subscriber play, but I mentioned the Northwestern game, and I am doing it the first time here with you guys. That was, for whatever reason, the game that stuck out to me. I just didn't trust Northwestern's run defense. I don't like Minnesota. Minnesota's actually, I did just a brief look at the college football lines last night, this morning, and I actually might be interested in going against Minnesota this week. I'll get more into that with the Cashman University video to those subscribers later. But let's look at this. Northwestern won the game in overtime. I watched that fourth quarter. And let's just look at the team stats here and see what happened in this game and see. Look at it would not have projected this, that Northwestern. I told you in the I think in the write-up I mentioned it. I went on a radio show last week with Greg Swaim and on YouTube and told him Northwestern had the better quarterback. Bryant is better than the Greek slinger for Minnesota. But 492 yards to 397, so they combined for over 800 yards, almost 900 yards of offense, which pretty impressive. Would not have guessed that because I don't think either offense is great. Well, that makes you wonder about Minnesota's defense, and I told you I might be interested in going against them this coming week in week 5 here. So they combined for 9 touchdowns. Again, would not have guessed that. Completion percentages, 14 for 19. So we're going to get down here to the rushing. It looks like Minnesota ran the ball a lot if they only threw it 19 times. So 73.7% completions, 8.1 yards per attempt, 66.7 completion for Northwestern, 4 touchdown passes to 2. Both passer ratings are good. So quarterbacks did have a good game. So I wonder, like I said, was worried about Northwestern's defense, and the fact that this guy from Minnesota had this good of a game, I think I was right in my concern about Northwestern, though would not have anticipated Minnesota's defense giving up what they did to Northwestern. But I thought Northwestern would scrap. They certainly did, and they took it to overtime, and they won the game. And what I mentioned about Minnesota's run offense came true. They ran for nearly 6 yards per carry here. So 244 yards. They pounded the ball. They were smart. You have a quarterback who I think is prone to interceptions. I don't think they can be too trustworthy of him after watching him through 3 games. So you go to what your best thing is on offense, and it's running the football right now. And they sure as heck did it. Everything I said about Northwestern that concerned me comes true right here. 5.8 yards per carry, nearly 6 yards per carry. Northwestern, not a great run team themselves. But you're right here, only 15 first downs to 25 first downs. So 15 for Minnesota, 25 for Northwestern. And third downs, 3 for 13, 23%, not good. 8 for 17, nearly 50% for Northwestern. That's a big part of the game. Defense, let's see, we've got 2 sacks on defense for Minnesota. Nothing here for Northwestern. So really it come down to the one turnover, only one turnover combined in the entire game. So that's good. But it really came down to Northwestern running the football. That kept them in the game. Northwestern did win the football game, but Minnesota's running the ball. I think Northwestern probably keeps us from going to overtime, if not for the run game here. 6 yards per carry. Let's look at the box score here and look at what the players did. Kalikmanis, good game, efficient. I would be worried if he had to throw the ball 30 or 40 times a game, and he did not here, so that's good. Ben Bryant, transfer from Cincinnati, 33 for 49, nearly 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like I said, I can't remember if I put it in the write-up to you guys. I know I told Greg Swaim that I thought the better quarterback was right here, Ben Bryant. I think he proved that to be true, and he got the win here. But the run game, Darius Taylor right here, 6.4 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, nearly 200 yards rushing, really was the offense for Minnesota here. Cam Porter, 56 yards, 3.5 yards per carry. A.J. Henning had a big run, 11 yards. It kind of got his yards per carry up to 7.7 here. But, I don't believe we had any defensive touchdowns. No defensive touchdowns in that game. So, yeah, again, it comes down to the run game for Minnesota. It kept Minnesota in the game. I was worried about that. I was worried about that they might be able to run all over Northwestern, but was not expecting Northwestern to come out here and get nearly 500 yards of offense, and that's why they won the game. I did not expect them to win the game. I thought Minnesota would win an ugly style game, and instead these teams come out here, and I'm actually looking forward to watching the tape on this because, like I said, I only watched the part of the fourth quarter and overtime, so missed a lot of offense. I'm actually looking forward to go back and watching this probably tomorrow and see if I can find a condensed version of it and watch some of these big plays and the line play and see what we got. But so that was those were the 3 games I liked the most. Like I said, Notre Dame, we'll do a quick look at the Notre Dame game. I liked Notre Dame plus 3.5. It was kind of a late play for me on Saturday, personal play. Should have been a subscriber play, but my biggest problem and my biggest concern was I didn't hear anybody until I heard one guy on Saturday, and I don't even know who he is, so I can't really take his opinion to heart or give it any kind of consideration. But people I do kind of trust and respect their opinion. I didn't hear anybody this week that was on Ohio State in this game, and that worried me. So. Close game, 17-14. Notre Dame should have won the game. They really did not do a very good job calling plays in that last drive. Too many passes, nearly threw a pick on the last drive. Should have been running the football. They were running the ball. That was actually something I looked at. Why? Because I didn't see I don't think I saw the first half of this game, and I was looking to see if they were running the ball well. Why weren't they running the ball in that last drive? And you go to look, and they were doing all right. 4.5 yards per carry. I mean, you're not going to run for 6 yards a carry against Ohio State, and vice versa. Ohio State's not going to do it against Notre Dame. So 4.7 to 4.5. I think Notre Dame has the better quarterback. You see here, 21 for 38 from McCord for Ohio State, 55.3 yards, and Hartman was 17 for 25, 68% completion percentage. It was a close game statistically. But I think that last drive was just, Ohio State was clutch, but I don't know that they should have got the ball back. And then the breakdown at the end where it looked like, I guess Notre Dame only had 10 men on the field for the last play or two. So they got beat. Coaching beat Notre Dame in this game. And I think I mentioned that earlier this season. My biggest concern about Notre Dame was coaching. I don't love their head coach. And, I think Notre Dame's a really good team. I think I thought they had a chance to go to a playoff. I told you I thought Ohio State was going to be a team that was going to be down a little bit this year. I'm still not overly impressed with them. Like I said, I think Notre Dame gave them a chance there in that game to win it. You look at the box score, quarterbacks, Hartman 101.3 rating, 76.4 from McCord. you look at the estimate here, 70 yards. He went for 5 yards per carry in the game. The big one here was Henderson, 14 for 104, but along with 61 for that touchdown. You take that 61 off of that, you got 35 yards on 13 carries. That's not even 3 yards per carry. So he had a misleading good game. He really had a really good run and a very, very average game beyond that. And that right there, that one big play ended up playing a big role in this game. And Notre Dame covered. We got the cover, but they did not win. And I know we've got a lot of Notre Dame fans in our audience and our client base. So I tend to root for Notre Dame because of that. And I don't root for Ohio State very often. But that's really it. That's the recap. Like I said, Cashman University subscribers, you'll have a video, and you're going to actually get to see me go through a few numbers on the games of interest. Actually, you're going to basically get to see me choose the games for, like, we'll make Cashie's notebook that will come out on Tuesday where I'll show the entire list to everybody. But you're going to actually get to see some of the stats I'm looking at and why I am actually looking at a particular game and get a little more in-depth understanding of that. So that will do it for the Week 4 recap. For any of you that are not subscribers, want to subscribe, go to TheCashmanwins.com. 1 year, $52. That's all sports included. And again, that's at TheCashmanwins.com. Have a good evening. Enjoy the Monday Night Football, everybody.